We're just letting y'all know.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Iron Panther Presents. We eat, but we move on. It's the title of The Last of Us. As we're talking about a season 1, because it got renewed for a season 2, but we're going to be talking about episode 2. And of course, it got renewed. This show is amazing. Now the budget, they could have been like, "Yo, but this is HBO money. They got that AT&T money. So that's good money. I guess Warner Brothers is broke though. I'm giving out track. All right, so we're gonna talk about everything. We're gonna talk about how deep is the throat. We're gonna talk about new stuff. Let's talk about Chris. You are the game. You said, what do you think about this episode? What you got?
Yeah, I really enjoyed this episode too. You always look nervous when you're watching the show, and like they always have like a really great start to it. You know what I mean? And you're like, well, will the next one, will the next one kind of be all right with, be all right as well. And yeah, it was. So this episode was great. Man, they got Neil, who directed the game, who's the director of the game, to direct this episode. So I thought that was super dope, which shows because like the set designs was like literally ripped from the game, like from the flooded hotel and whatnot. I'm like, oh my God, they actually recreated the actual sequence from the game. Like, what in the world? The piano, everything. It was amazing. HBO, man, HBO is doing an amazing job opening it up as far as expanding the story. Which they could have easily just kind of kept it to the simple plot that they had in the game, and it would have been fine. But man, the choice to opening it up, what is a genius idea. We were just saying before we were rolling about the decision of having that opening sequence in the first episode of 1968 with the host talking about the potential of the of a virus or something catastrophic happening to the human race. And they did it again in this episode with what happened in Indonesia, which is what you kind of heard on the radio station in the first episode. Yeah. Now we saw what happened. And I guess essentially in the show, this is kind of the origin of it, which kind of makes sense because they said it started in a flour, basically like a flour mill, which makes sense because if you want to talk about bacterial growth, it gets hot. Like you're talking about somewhere. Indonesia got so many people to begin with. And you want to talk about something spreading. Perfect environment for something as infectious as like fungi to like not only reproduce, but maybe evolve or mutate. So I wonder if this was like a wink because the game is very ambiguous as far as like how it really started or whatever. It gives you hints, right? But this one kind of was like more of like kind of alluding to like this is how it starts, which kind of makes sense. In the first episode, you saw the old lady being fed bread or a biscuit, and they kept focusing on the biscuits rising and whatnot in the oven. And I was just thinking, like, did this damn thing kind of start in Indonesia with the flour company or whatever? And then which is why, like, Joel said no to the biscuits. Sarah said no everybody said no to the biscuit. Like, luckily that Atkins was around 2003. And that was his excuse for not eating it. So no, I thought that was genius, especially the doctor and the whole realization of telling that military, that dude in the military, basically saying like, after she says bomb is the only way to stop this, and her realizing like what that means for her, like basically like when she found out those 14 members are gone, like just disappeared, just like, oh shit, like you keep us in and you just gotta get rid of all of us. So awesome sequence. I love that the next thing we saw was both Tess and Joel staring at Tess, making sure that she didn't change, just staring at her. Like, I just love that. The whole sequence of like, is she one of them? Is she one of them? Yeah, so that was great. Obviously the introduction of the freaking clickers. The clickers I thought was amazing. They did amazing job. I don't know what actors they had to do the movements like that, but they were freaking spot on. So glad they didn't go cheap and do CGI. They went straight practical effects with the face splitting up open, like all of that. Amazing. And I guess even the stalker, like the one you see in the background, in David's background, the stalker with the one with like the whole, like the little thing, which is like the second stage. Like you got the runners, which is the first stage. It's just like when you first turn, like just the regular runners who just look all human or whatever, right? But then the longer you become infected, the second stage is the stalkers, where you got like it's sprouting out a little bit more, the fungi, you know what I mean? Who's just a little bit smarter, who's able to kind of communicate a little bit more, you know what I mean? And then the third stage is the clickers, and I won't reveal, just in case they do it, what the final stage is after, if you become infected longer than a clicker, you know what I mean? So, you know, I don't know if they'll do it, even though there was an Easter egg to it when Ellie was talking about it to Tess and Joel. So yeah, this episode was amazing. It was very tense, scary actually, you know what I mean? I'm like, I felt like I was playing, it was like playing the game, like when you're hiding the whole time. The only thing I was just wishing the whole time was just like in the game, you're given like random bottles and bricks, and you're supposed to take it and like distract the clickers. It's like, oh, there's a loud noise and whatnot. The whole time I'm like, give them a bottle, give them like an empty bottle or a brick to throw to distract them, whatever. But I guess he just pushed the statue over, whatever. But yeah, so good episode. R.I.P. Tess. You're the realest. Nice different change as far as how she dies. Obviously, she gets infected in the game as well, but she's fighting, Firm or whatever. And this one is just the infected. Love the change, of instead of them doing spores, them being connected like together, like actual mushrooms, which actually really exist, right? Part of like one actual central unit that was not in the game. But I mean, well, they were kind of connected in a different way, but this was a nice change. So I was like, HBO, man, HBO is making sure they took care of this game. I feel like it was on any other network, you know what I mean? David always gives me shit when I talk about other networks or whatever.
Well, it's true. It's true.
But it's true.
It's true.
If it was like on, I won't say certain networks,
they
but
couldn't afford it. They couldn't afford it. That's always something that I was like, nah.
No, but like they're taking care, like not just they can afford it, but even the details of them talking, the stuff they talk about too, though.
Yeah.
You will not hear Star say, hey, like adding other details to it. They would not have added that first scene to the first episode, because that was not in the game. You know what I mean? But amazing choice. That don't take money to do that. You know what I mean? But they care about it that much. You know what I mean? So I think it's dope. So I cannot wait what we get for the next 7 episodes or so. So they introduced Bill and Frank next episode. So this next one should be fun. It should be funny. I believe. If Bill is anything like the one in the video game, it's going to be kind of funny. So
the guy playing him is a comedian. So yeah,
that's true too. So when I saw the casting of that, I'm like, okay, that's perfect choice. Perfect choice. Yeah, a little bit of a dick, but funny. But anyway,
yes.
So yeah. So So nothing bad to say about this episode. Great job with the clickers. Good. That's it.
Thank you. Kim, are you ready?
The clickers freak me out. I'm just gonna say it. They freak me out. When I started hearing it, I was like, what is happening right now? Like this whole thing had me on edge from the very beginning, which I love. So I'm so sad that Tess died, but I do realize in the video game she also died. So I knew, but I love that actress. I love her from Fringe. I love her she's been in a couple of things she's just a phenomenal actress. And I really like the little girl who's playing Ellie. Like, I just love, there's something about her and her snarkiness that is appealing. She is being a smart ass, right? But she's a teenager, and that's what teenagers do. So she's really giving it to us, but she also is taking the edge off a little bit, right? But you know that she's terrified, right? You know she's terrified. But when in the beginning, when she woke up and they were staring at her, could you imagine waking up and someone has a rifle pointed at you? And you're like, what is she, like 14?
Yeah, she's 14. Character-wise.
Yeah, you're 14. It's like, but the thing about it was, she was just kind of like, what the hell's wrong? What's wrong with you? She wasn't scared. She was just kind of like, calm down. Like, I'm not even changing. See, look at me, that kind of thing. So I love that about her. But I do, and I also love how they showed that remember Tess was kind of like, look, I mean, when she had the meter last episode, look at her, and then you show Tess actually wanting to protect this little girl. You know, I love that how they showed that. That was growth of the character, because at the very end, she knew she was infected and she was like, just take her, because she is the miracle. She is the one that will probably save all of us. I thought that was wonderful, a character growth, right? And then Joel also. Like Joel, at first, he was kind of pissed off about everything. And like, he probably would have shot her, like, you know, if she would have started twitching or something. But then you saw where he was like, put this on he gave her the rag and said, put it on your cut, you know? And then because you slowly see that Joel is starting to really care about her. And he does want to protect her. So I love that they showed that. So that's even character growth too. So I just thought it was really well done. The makeup on these things, gross, very gross, but it was enough gross where I was like freaked out. I was like, this is gross to look at. And so we have a lot to talk about, but I loved it. I enjoyed every part of it. It keeps me going. I can't wait to see the next episode. And I'm glad I'm not able to binge it. I think it ruins it for this type of show. If you binge it, it kind of ruins it. I'm anticipating what's going to happen next, and that's what I love about the show. Okay, I'm done.
Okay, that's nice. I like that. Anticipation makes the
Yes.
heart grow fonder and all that. Jamani, what do you got, sir?
Having had played the game and watched the walkthroughs of the game and everything like that, like the opening scenes are like the thing that is like strictly for the show for me. Like, and this was just great. Like, I'm usually against like subtitle type of things, and like I was very engaged with this. Like, it was it actually had an extra point of it being in subtitles, because you're forced to read what she was saying, at least the part, like when she's sitting down on the couch and she's saying all the important dramatic information, and you're forced to read it. So it's being said by yourself, and like, you're hearing it come out of, whether it's in your head or coming out of your own mouth, is you saying all of this stuff. So it has a lot bigger impact than you just sitting and listening to a character just say it and you just taking it in. So I thought that was like a great tool that they used as far as storytelling. The scene when she's in the lab and they say, yeah, if you're starting to feel sick, you come out quickly. And I'm like, yeah, I can come out quickly so you can immediately kill me. Because if I'm feeling sick, yeah, that's what's usually going to happen. But when she picked that, she used the, what do you call it, tweezers to pull that thing out of the mouth, and she just dropped it and walked out the room. I was like, yeah, that is one of the funniest things I've ever seen in the world. Like that, she did that, like she's supposed to be like a professional. She saw that and she was just like, oh yeah, all bets are off.
I'm out.
That freaked me out. That freaked me out too. I was like, ew, this is good. And it was moving. I was like,
It was like it was trying to attach to her.
Yes,
it's still alive. The fungus is
still alive. It's
out
still
of the dead woman.
Right.
I mean, it's still a live organism trying to spread and grow. So I was like, interesting. Oh, go ahead, Jamai.
And I started listening to the podcast that goes along with it, and they started talking about like the ant video that was supposed to be in place of the introduction for the first episode, and I actually watched that, where you actually see how it happens with ants in real life. And I was like, oh, that, and the thing that comes out of that burrows out of the ant looks just like that at the end of the life stage or whatever. So yeah, that was.
Okay, I'm not watching that because I will completely freak out. So no.
Oh, you never seen that? You never seen the thing with the
ants?
ants?
I'm not doing it. No, I'm not gonna do it. I heard it on the podcast.
Yo, it is gnarly though, Kim. I was like, yo. I mean, it's not like disgusting, but you watching the show and then you watching like the actual like the BBC thing about ants from years ago. You're like, oh damn, like they go right through.
I think if I watch the ants, it'll just make it so much more real for me.
Yeah.
But
that's what.
The
watch it.
Ants is that he actually it grows because of they see like you see the spores on the ant and it can't get the spores off. What the show doesn't have spores. But that's one of the criticisms with the game and the show is that if you're using fungi and they're walking around like survivalists, like they do that with Walking Dead, with all of these movies with infected, as opposed to them wearing like fencing outfits or scuba outfits. They're just skin out with a disease or an infection that can infect the skin. Like, why would you be more victim to getting bit or something like that? I never understood why they dress like that. My biggest criticism for the episode is they go into the water. You know, she's like, I can't swim, and they're like, the water isn't that deep. But fungus grows in still water, and there's like no apprehension to doing that. I don't understand why they haven't adapted that aspect at some point or something, as far as like
waterborne.
You're gonna walk around afterward with wet clothes as well. Like,
I didn't even think about that. That is true though, right?
So in the show though, they because I guess for plot convenience and that sort of thing, they specifically made the form of transmission biting or through the mouth, right? Like if it started with the bread, you had to eat the bread to be infected. You have to be bitten.
No, but I'm saying like infected. If you're in water and like, well, in the game they actually go underwater from time to time, but you can get the stuff in your mouth from being in the water. So
I mean, to your point, like that, then that if there's a situation where they have to submerge, you know what I'm saying, like in the water, then they could go that route, especially with the whole hotel being full of fungus. You know what I'm saying? Like you would think that would be a thing, but it's not airborne like it is in the game, as Chris Blake was explaining. Like they very much narrowed it down so they can be skin out, face out, and not worry about it just when people randomly being infected.
And that's just a Hollywood thing. That's so that we can see these characters.
Also, yeah. You can have
so we can actually see
gas
them,
mask,
right? And because if you put gas mask on, it's people are attracted to looking.
Well, I'm not necessarily saying about the gas mask. I'm like, the water, wet clothes.
Even with the water, right? I mean, logically, it makes sense what you're saying, Jamani. Yeah. It does logically, but we're not watching this for the logic.
but you know what I'm saying? Like, but yeah, no, I mean, true, but like it's been like 45 years. Like they could have explained it. Like they're moving so quickly that they could be like we've tracked this. We know what water can't do. We know what this can't do, and maybe they explain that later. But like, how do you survive this thing and for 20 years, as far as Joel's concerned? But
Jamani, you gotta remember though too in the game. No, you're right, technically speaking. But the infected can't swim, like they basically just drown, right? So even though the fungi,
he's talking about the fungus being like
the fungus,
the water, the fungus being in the water, right?
Yeah,
right. But what I'm saying is,
even as survivalists, right? They're dressed in like they're on the show Survivor or something. Yeah. If you're afraid of getting bit, wouldn't you wear more protective clothes? Not have your skin so exposed. Like, I'm gonna wear layers. So if you try to bite me, you're just biting layers of clothing. You're not actually gonna ever get to my skin. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
that's causes more rations, man. How much more rations? They got enough rations. They got no rations.
They got no rations. But I'll go punch Jamani. I mean, to your point. Yeah.
As far as like the clickers go, I'm like, that was a great scene. A lot more I guess you'd say detailed in the game. I'm like, I guess I want to see like more of the action as far as that goes, see how they play out the stealth mode that you kind of see in the game as we go along. Stealth mode is kind of similar to like, I guess, like if you play Arkham Asylum or like any of the Batman type.
My son plays, my youngest one, he plays Arkham like constantly.
Yeah, so it's like how are they able to perceive stuff that they can't see from around the corners and stuff like that. I want to see how they kind of more or less.
Well, isn't that because of their hearing though?
No, I'm saying like the character, like the Joel and like whoever you're playing as are able to perceive threats like coming around the corner, like in stealth.
Oh man, they're not gonna put that in the show. Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, but let's be real. In the game, they made it look like they basically have X-ray vision.
Yeah, but I'm saying like what way would they use to adapt that for the show? Like a creative.
It'll just be them hearing. I think it's just going to be like Joel and Ellie be hearing them because just if you think of the difference between the introduction to clickers in the game and this is that you kind of hear a clicker or whatnot, but you didn't know how it was until you can kind of, like you said, perceive it X-ray and see what's behind that wall. You know what I mean? That's how you know where the clickers were. In the show, when this introduction, and I think it's a great choice. And obviously, I mean, not to mention humans can't go do X-ray, but it's a great choice of them not knowing where it's coming from. I think it makes it even more horrific and scary as hell. So I feel like, to your point though, the stealth mode thing, in the sense of like the bottles and bricks thing, I think will happen again, and they'll probably come in the form of like them all dealing with raiders and slavers and whatnot. When they bring in the human aspect of it, with like the humans that are trying to like hit like the human aspect of it and the infected together, which I find the best part of the games is when you put the infected and the bad guys in the same room, and you're like, oh, let's get this party started. And you just, it's like, hey, infected, hear that loud noise coming over there? I'm like, oh shit. And then now they're like, and it's like, they don't find each other while you just whiskily get out of there or whatever. That I think is going to be where you see what you're talking about, Damani, which I'm hoping they do. I don't know why they wouldn't. They've been kind of doing a lot of like great fan service so far. So in just 2 episodes. So I'm like, I can see them doing that. My bad. I didn't mean to step on your thing. Sorry.
No, that's fine. Yeah, that sounds pretty much like, I guess, like where we pretty much see it coming at. I like the end. Like we actually see Tess die in this, as opposed to the game where they're outside and they just hear it.
Yeah. You do see her body in the game though. Like you see, she gets shot up, but it's not until you go back in and you see the aftermath and you see her dead body.
Yeah.
On the thing in the game. But yeah. How do you feel? Let me ask you this, since you're familiar with the game. How do you feel about the change of the infected is the thing that kind of overwhelmed her, rather than it being like just regular humans shooting, like her basically having a shootout with a bunch of humans?
I think this way is better. Like it furthers the story a lot better, because it not only sets up the whole non-spore thing that they're connected, right, as well as it doesn't, if the MP Freds, if they were still chasing them all the way after that guy got killed outside of the QZ zone, right? If they chased them all the way up to that point and then blew up, who's to say that they wouldn't continuously chase them down? Like they have to stop at a certain point, and they kind of said that in like the podcast, like they only patrol like the outer perimeter, and they don't go into the outer zone because they just you're left for dead after that point.
Oh, Fedra,
yeah. So like if they keep coming, then when would they stop? So
and you're still trying to enforce the infected threat. Like this shows you like the new version of the infected. Like for those of you who are familiar with the game, they let you know like just like the new organization, how the infected work together again. Like I said, now they're controlled by some kind of central thing, like the fungus itself can kind of like can connect them and point them into a certain direction. So they want to kind of introduce that to us, I guess.
But that wasn't in the game, so that was like introduction to everybody.
That's what I'm saying. So like, not just me. I mean, it's all new to me. But I'm saying for like game players who knew how the scene was supposed to go, like they gave you like a new way to look at it, but also so there's a new threat for you to be like, oh, okay, now I see how the infected work together.
To answer Chris's point again, right? Specifically for this episode, right? It brings the beginning and the end together, because it's the lady at the beginning says bomb them, right? And then at the end, she's gonna be the one who bombs them again, right? So it's like 2 bombs. And when I listened to the podcast, they were saying that when they actually break through and come in, they don't even care about her because they're like, she's one of us now. So they bypass her, and one of them is like, oh, there's something different about her, and then they turn around.
Yeah.
And then it's a matter of she's trying to flick the lighter as like she's like succumbing to the fungus, and that's like her last humanity is actually letting the bomb go off. Yeah. You know, to tie it in with the beginning of like, yeah, I'm willing to, because the lady at the beginning says, all right, I told you to bomb the people. I want to go home and be with my family now. Right? So she's like, I'm gonna be a part of the bombing. So it's like people sacrificing themselves to save mankind because Tess believes that Ellie is the savior of mankind.
That's the only part I did not like though. The lighter thing, because she had struggled with the lighters, yet she throws out all kinds of grenades all around her. So I'm thinking like, all right, that light. I mean, I get it. Cinematically, it works way better the way she did it. But realistically, I'm sorry. I'm gonna go hit that light a few times. I'm like, well, shit, I got a bunch of grenades. I just
just
like boom.
why did one of the pins accidentally fall out when she was throwing them on the ground and they all just fucking go up?
It's like, oh, there goes Hope. I just killed her too.
My bad. Like,
my bad.
But like that's a
damn. I just killed us all.
she could have put the grenades on her. Right, I mean, in classic format, and then like when the ones come in, she's like, "Bye, bitches." We've seen that a few times, and then that would have made more sense. But like, yeah, I go with Chris. Like that was a bit much when you are walking in a field of grenades.
Yeah,
like,
but we all knew what was happening. Like the moment he came over, we knew at the end that lighter was going to match.
Gonna go.
And even though I knew it was coming, I was like, "Oh, it's going to be so corny." I still liked it. It was weird. It was like,
I liked it. I did. I liked it too.
It was corny, but it still worked. I'm like, God damn, that was corny.
But but this is the thing. I don't know if I would have been able to allow what happened, like the spores or whatever you want to call them, going into my mouth. I was like, oh my God, I was so freaked out by that. I had to stop it and wait for a second. That was it freaked me out. Yeah. I was like, ill.
So we don't know if it didn't happen in real life. So we don't know if the character Tess at that point was already succumbing to it. It looked like almost like he smelt it in her and was let me connect because now you're a part of us, right? And
they said that she was like, because the way that the fungus or works is that it takes over your brain, right? And it uses your body as a host. So it's saying like, she was fighting it off to try to light the lighter, and basically that's all that she could do with her motor function, with her brain left, was light the lighter. But her brain was gonna basically become controlled by the fungus.
Yeah.
So we got how many more episodes do you think we'll have pre-apocalypse flashbacks? I'm liking them so far.
Probably all, right?
And well, eight especially. 8, they showed the thing with Riley, which is like a backstory to Ellie. So there you go. So we already know that episode right there. As well as the girl. Why did she
lie? Why did Ellie lie and say she was by herself in that mall?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want to say too much. I feel like
it's a spoiler.
Well, I mean, because I guess the only thing I'll say is like she had feelings for her. That's just, I don't know. That's all I'll say. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it was too much of a spoiler. I feel like they would answer that in episode 8 at least, because you know what I mean. You know, just same to answer your question. Same reason why Joel would not want to open up to Ellie about Sarah or about like his life, and he's like enough. He'd say he's from Texas, and that's it.
Yeah,
because it hurts too much. Same deal with her.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why she said I was all by myself, and that's why she lied, because just to her it hurts.
Mm-hmm.
So which is why both of them work so well together. They're like it's Ellie and Joel. They're made for each other. That's like it's crazy.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So Armando brings up a good point. I was puzzled that last week's episode, the dead body that was stuck to the wall, the fungus stopped. It stopped growing. It stopped moving. Right.
Yeah.
Like it was almost like an art piece as we talked about. But at the beginning of this episode, then like when the woman's dead on the thing, she just got shot. The fungus is still alive. Like so, like does the fungus need the a live human to live itself, or because to me that woman should have been covered in fungus. Like if she's been dead.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah,
she should have been covered in that shit. But it's like it was waiting for the door for the mouth to open. So I'm like, how far? When does the fungus stop moving? And to because even when they walked into the library. All those bodies, like I would have been fuck all that. Like that fungus is all over the building. Like it should be alive.
I mean, shouldn't it be able to come out of your open orifices, like her behind and her vagina, her ears?
But I'm like, this is the same day. So I'm like,
I was gonna say it's the same, yeah.
And I'm like, she died immediately. So it didn't get a chance to fully take over her body. It took over her mind, but it didn't take over her whole body.
And think about how parasites work, right? Even after you die, if there's a parasite, the parasite's going to live in your body for a while because it's still got this blood or what. And same thing with ticks, right? Ticks will like live off of your off of animals for a while. They'll get fat and happy, and they'll start growing until you dry out. So that woman was still, she had all kinds of fluid still inside of her. That's why that's why the fungi was still alive. But what you saw in that body that was to that wall, that body, there was like, not only was it like deprived from like nutrients, AKA like animals and humans or whatnot, it was stuck essentially, right? It was stuck. And the way at least in the game, where if the fungi gets to you, right? Like, let's just say you get affected, right? And then let's just say I immediately put a bullet in you, and I'm like, you're basically still dying out. And the fungi can only live within you for only quite a while. So it will cover up your body because it still getting nutrients off of you, and it'll try to grow out. It'll try to grow out as much as it can until all of a sudden it's stuck, unless it gets another source, and then it could grow from there. You know what I mean? It expands from that. So what you saw from that growth was all from that human until he dried out, essentially. I think, it's... Well,
and then also it was dried out in the museum too, right?
It was all covered.
They were all dried out. But then when was it Joel stepped on something?
He shot a living.
That was a different place, though.
A living infected person, and once that person died, the fungus grew on that person, and then like somehow activated the
other ones.
The infected people over there.
Yeah,
but that's what Tess said it was gonna do. Remember, she said that.
So she said that. But
the dryness thing, the thing y'all were talking about that's dry, that was when they were at the museum. That wasn't at the little place. That wasn't at the rendezvous. Remember, they went to the rendezvous.
That's right. You're right.
Spot afterwards.
Right.
Yeah.
The museum part was dry. That's why they're like, oh, everything in there is dead, not realizing that there is some infected that can like survive, especially the ones who like the big survivors. They can survive a good while just kind of roaming around. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so.
If they're introducing the fungus itself as connecting the collective, it's not spores, right? Like they could introduce where like there's some kind of central fungus something that's like a sentient something that's saying, hey, like there's a threat here, like come here. Like they could be like if you destroy this thing. If this was a movie, they probably would have did some shit like that. Like there's a central fungus something that's running this whole damn thing, and they could like go after that to be like, because now all of a sudden it gets like the fungus is thinking. Like to an extent, to be like, there's a threat in this building, come here, because they were not in there. It wasn't like those things were way far away. Yeah, but all of a sudden it got a message, and it wasn't even like it touched Joel. An infected person was just killed, and all of a sudden it was threat, building, come. So there's something thinking somewhere, or they should do something like that to me, and they'd be like, "There's
no." You mean like a brain bug in Starship Troopers, right? You mean like that whole brain bug, like just kind of
something. Well, maybe
I don't think it was that deep. I think all it was the guy was not completely dead at first, right? And then until he put a bullet in your head. But just think how the human brain works, right? If I put a bullet in your head right now, your organs obviously would shut down, but your brain is still obviously your brain is like going to have a huge like hemorrhage after that, but your brain is still alive. Your brain is still like, even if I cut your head off, your brain is like are still active for a good while. Think of like chickens when you cut off their heads or whatever, It's like it's still active for a good while. So even when they put a bullet in that one guy's head, it was still enough for them to be like, oh snap, I just saw through like what's going on there. So I don't think it's as deep as that. I mean, I don't know. Like again, this is so different from the game that, to your point, they could maybe do that. I don't think they even should. I don't know.
I'm not saying they should. It looked like it did though, because the fungus like grew on the dead person, right? Let's say it talked to the brain. Obviously, it must have talked to it, right? But then the fungus did start growing on those people, and we're like, they got a signal. It wasn't just one got shot, because a whole bunch of them. They just murdered 2 clickers in that fucking building, and they didn't move a damn thing. You know what I'm saying? But somehow killing this one person, all of a sudden they're like, they got the signal from something that organized them and was like, come here. Like that's a direction, like something
It
told
wasn't,
people.
maybe that strand of fungus, maybe that was like tied.
I was gonna say
back
it's a
to
community. It's a community of
But
them.
that's my point is to commute something in that community said the signal to be like that's my point. That there was a community that was created, but something was controlling. It wasn't just
I want to say it was the stalker, the one that you saw at the end, kiss Tess. Like the stalker, if it's, I think I mean. And the game is more, it's the second stage of him being affected, is more intelligent than what they call just the runners, like the typical zombies that you see or infected you see. It thinks more, and it starts to, especially that's why you start seeing sprout out of his head or whatnot. It starts to think a little bit more, and it communicates better. They're called stalkers because they don't run and whatever. So because if you think about it, the moment that it went on his hand, what was the first thing you saw eyes open up was? It was the stalker. It's the same one that wound up kissing Tess. I theorize that it was really him. Like he was like the messenger, like it was him. The
and
stalker,
that would,
you know what I mean?
And
maybe I don't know. Maybe we'll see that.
That would be great if they developed that way. Like that's. I mean, I didn't see that, but like you would have to know the game to even put this together. But like,
no, it has nothing to do with the game. So like, I've been watching. I watched this documentary about Darkwing Duck. I guess Chris might be in my generation of watching Darkwing Duck, but there's a bad guy in there. There's a bad guy in there called Bushroot, right? Mm-hmm. And Bushroot, like he could communicate with other plants. Like he would weaponize plants to like have, tie people up with vines and stuff like that. And I think it's like a telepathy type of thing with the virus, not virus, but the fungus that's in someone and in one creature and another creature, that they have a telepathy connection between them. Like how we talk verbally, they have some sort of communication through fungus
David, like you watch Batman. Remember the Bat? Okay, now this you could Batman. Was it Batman Forever, whatever? Well, Poison Ivy. When they show Poison Ivy, and then you saw her plants, wasn't even connected. It was another room. She sensed that like something was getting cut. That was part of her. Like she knew it. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's how it was like kind of. It was just like I'm
not arguing with y'all. Like we're all the same shit in music. My point is they should make it very clear. Like since they're introduced into this. I'm just saying, if this is going to be a constant thing, right? If these vines are going to help the creatures talk, and if the more thinker ones are the leaders in this kind of situation, then they could be like, "Hey, I'm alone. I need backup," and they could use the vines or whatever to bring the fungus to bring them here. I'm just saying they were organized. Like it was not just random. Like walkers are not organized. The Walking Dead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I can see what Armando is saying. Like Poison Ivy.
Yeah, so again, but you knew Poison Ivy was doing it. So like you knew so my again, I'm just saying that if they're introducing this to this new world, then they could help us better understand that certain of them can be like, I gotta make a phone call and like they're coming. It's not like in Walking Dead, they were just random killers. Like it was like there's never a time.
Hey, they over here. Get them.
Like, it was like they get on the line.
Yo, what if Lamar showed up? Lamar be like, hey, here I am.
I'm like, oh shit! Like Lamar is one of them. He must be at this point. But like if they picked up a plant and it was like, I got problems, like 911. Then I'm like, it was a message was sent. They came to the message. So I'm like, clearly the dead one didn't send the message. He just got shot in the fucking head. So something connected them. And like I said, it was the thinker. I want to see that like flushed out to be like, that's what happened. Because this wasn't just a coincidence. Like they just got him to start running.
Because the way that Tess described it, she basically said, if you step on one portion of it, or if you do anything to one portion of the fungus, that reverberates to the other ones. And
But
that's
like Stranger
fun.
Things, the last two seasons of Stranger Things. Yeah.
Again, I understand.
Yeah.
I'm not saying but I'm like, again, they killed 2 clickers, much bigger creatures. They were in the middle of all those other dead walkers. None of them got up. Even that one that just got murdered, that fresh body that just got
But they're
murdered.
not connected. That's not how that works in nature.
No. I was talking about the actual fungi. From what I understand, she said, right? I was thinking she was telling Ellie, don't step on the fungi because it talks. So I could have sworn it was either Ellie or Joel that stepped on the fungi.
No. So that was a different thing. And that happened in the library where they were. He stepped in and made a crushing sound, but it was all dry. Like it wasn't connected to the whatever, right? Like in that one, once he shot that dude, the fungus grew on that dead infected person. And that's when the fungus grew on the ones outside. And that's how they got the signal. So that's how it happened.
Okay,
anyway,
I got it.
It was cool. A fungus located on the Statue of Liberty afoot can be seen in sci-fi movie version of this already. Oh, all right. So this is not the first time. 2 of us have played the video game. Jamani and Chris played. Kim saw her sons play it. Correct.
Mm-hmm.
This is all new to me, so I'm just trying to understand. The infected are freaky. The dudes said F the violence. I need to make out. A still alive one here. So it's funny. I'm gonna go with this statement, and I'm gonna go with Kim's statement of holes, because I'm like, if the fungus can come out the mouth and they connect
holes on the dead body,
right? I'm like, there's other holes, buddy. Like there's many other scenes they could. This how this thing could play out. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, well,
but it was already there. It's like, you know what I mean?
But you would think,
I guess he could. I guess he could put his nose up to her mouth, but it'll probably. The angle would have been kind of too much. So it's like, my mouth.
The mouth made sense for this scene. I'm just saying, like, as they go through how other people got infected, like, there's gonna be backstories at some point. Like, they could do that kind of stuff, like just to be like, you could have had, I don't know, like 2 lesbians, right, like together, and then all of a sudden, like, fungus comes out of one, right? It's like, oh my god, then infects it, and it goes into the other one, and they're connected in the 69.
I don't know. If they want to make that type of. This isn't like a show that they're trying to have on XXX.
That's the triple X parody right there.
That's a triple X parody. There you go. You just listen to the parody.
To the vine, they're connected. I'm just saying.
Oh no.
Or
no, David. Matter of fact, they probably don't even want people to even think about that, just so for them to. Can you imagine? I hope they don't ever.
I'm surprised Kim even. She said, "What about?" I was like, "What about the other holes? Let's go down this path." Anyway, I'm saying this.
Well, no, to your point, no, that was a good question in the sense of like if she was trying to find, but but I don't know. You just took it another step further after that day. I can understand.
Right? He like moved the needle way over.
Yeah, he was trying to find a reason to like look for.
Okay. Let me make it a little less bad and somewhat wholesome. What about breastfeeding? Could you pass it to a kid that way?
Yes, I guess.
Oh, yeah, I think you could. I mean, spores.
Well, it's not spores.
They would have to bust out of the nipple, though. Like,
yeah, I mean, that's not.
No, but I'm saying if milk is coming out, could there be infection?
I don't know ways. Look,
I don't know.
But you gotta remember, Jamani, you get turned within 48 hours. So I really hope after the girl's not bitten, she's not immediately like, all right, let me feel like breastfeed.
Yeah,
like,
that's also.
I really hope that's not the case.
Like I'm talking about.
I was hoping that Tess did not. It looked like at one point Tess and Joel was going to kiss. I'm like, I gotta go. I'm like, please don't kiss him. Like don't kiss. And they didn't, which I was like, okay, fine, right, cool, cool. Because in the other zombie was like, that's my girl. Like,
they fight. But I did think that was a very classic scene you would see in Walking Dead. A classic. The characters you cared for, you thought they had a future. Oh my God, I'm bitten. Go on without me. Like, dude, I was like, I seen this with Rick and crew, and I'm like, it was still a good moment. As I said about Sarah, I would like to have seen more of Tess. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's gonna die, I get it, but like to see like their relationship, like how they got together, like, because she's like, I didn't want you to feel the way I felt. Yeah. Like I like clearly it's just like there were gonna be something, but it is what it is. And I just felt like she was a good character, and I could have seen more of her, like, and before she died.
I'm gonna say this. Tess and Sarah, they gave him way more screen time in the show than they ever did in the game. I was like, I'm really shocked. I was so surprised. Even just how much they gave Sarah screen time. Like, yes, in the game, the first person you see is Sarah, but it's like she was in all like 10 minutes. Nah, she got like 45 minutes, and I'm like, oh, like you saw her go to school, actually getting the clock fixed. Like, nah, in the game, you just saw us like, hey, by the way, I got your watch fixed, but you ain't get the whole like, hey, $20. I'm like, there's a whole dialogue going on. Like the same thing with Tess, right? You hear that Tess gets beaten up by was it Frank? But no, I'm sorry, not Frank.
Robert.
What was it? Robert. But you don't see it. This one you saw it. I think I understand it, and you're right, because in the game they make it kind of ambiguous in the sense of like maybe they are together, Joel or whatever, but they were trying to not. The relationship, I guess, at least in the game that they trying to want you to kind of be focused on was his relationship with his daughter and now his relationship with Ellie. And I don't know. I felt like, at least in the game original, I felt like if you did too much with Tess, it would kind of be too much more of a distraction of what the actual story was. Now, with what they did in the show, I can understand, because I saw people like, damn, why they had to kill off Tess? And I was just thinking like, what, man, in the show, they made her way more interesting, than they ever did in the game. You're right. Like, how did they get together? Absolutely. I think that would actually make a great prequel game. You know what I mean? Like not, I heard someone joke around saying maybe not just The Last of Us, but maybe it was like The First of Us. How about you do a thing called The First of Us?
That.
And it's like year two. Maybe it starts at year two, like how him and Tommy separated or something. You know what I mean?
I'm not asking for a whole show. I'm just like, more like, again, it's her. They do it very well, as Kim pointed out. They did it very well in one episode. They showed you how both of them didn't trust Ellie. It was Tess who began. It was Tess the one that got fucking Joel to be like, okay, she's the future. She's it. I can trust her. Like, it's her that got him there, right?
Yeah.
So like that easily could have been a couple episodes. In Walking Dead, that would have been seasons. I mean, really. But I'm saying they could have flushed that out. And been like, okay, now we see that their relationship is so strong. This person who's already like, I can't love another child. She's already infected. I lost a daughter 20 years ago. That's also part of his, I need space. Like, I can't have another child die. And I just murdered a man for her, right? I can't have her die on me and shit. But I'm like, and just like with Sarah, like, we had a whole episode of Tess. I felt a whole episode of Sarah would have been nice. So I can, because she was a great character, great actor, great character. It would have been to see more of them. It was interesting. Ellie was quick not to leave Tess behind, but we know Tess and Joel would have left her ASAP, showing how Ellie will bring some of the humanity back to Joel that died with Sarah. And again, quick character development in one episode, because and I'm like, well, this whole like mommy, I don't like, we can't leave her. Like,
no, seriously, but think about it. She's a child, right? So even though she was snarky with them, she realizes that these two people they may not love me, but they're trying to take care of me. And kids can start to see that as they care about me. So you know what I mean? Like,
the one that got shot, the lady that got shot, the one that was taking care of her. That one from like first episode one. Marlene, right?
Yeah.
Like she was a lot more willing to me to be like, okay, Marlene, you just got shot, but I got to roll. I mean, I get it, I got to go. But I'll see you when I see you. Again, I'm not saying she's a character test, but again, episodes would have been like, oh, we could have felt that. It would have been it would have been more grounded. We would have been more with her.
All right. So the issue with Marlene was, I think that she couldn't show that because of, I guess, their secrecy. Like, it was that whole, oh, are you some bigwig's daughter or something? Like, she couldn't really expose her relationship to Marlene that way. So that's why you don't see that too much. It's still supposed to be kind of secretive.
Hush.
Yeah. So, and as far as what the creators said is that they asked a lot of people, what is the inciting moment of the game or of the story? And people say, oh, well, it's when Sarah dies. And, Joel is changed after that. And they're like, no, it's when he has to take on the responsibility of taking Ellie across country. And it's like, okay, so we got to start minimizing that storyline so we get to that quicker, so that people aren't thinking that the story is about this thing or is the focal point of it. So they started minimizing stuff, especially with the game, so that you get to that quicker. And they brought that back out in the show, the stuff that they had to, like, I guess, reduce or cut back on, or they didn't show or just alluded to. But it's still, the inciting moment is the story is starting more or less now when they as a couple are going across
a
country.
team.
Huh? Yeah, as a team.
Let's watch terminology. But I know, but I mean, I understand that. But like Chris and I was texting Chris, and I was joking with him. That'd be like, if again, House of the Dragon season 1 was all like prologue. Like, this is all just a fucking big old wait till the show actually starts, right? And I'm like, that's like 10 episodes of what the fuck are we doing right now? But I'm like, this would have been like if 10 episodes of House of Dragon happened in 2 episodes. They killed the king in the first episode. They killed the queen's son in the second episode. And by third episode, they're about to start the Dance of the Dragons. Like, well, damn, this show's really moving. And I ain't giving a damn about any of those characters. But now, I mean, but it's like, okay, so now the show can start, and now it's 2 of them. And now we can start caring about people. Like, characters are going to last longer than the episode. Because I'm like, if that's the game, then I'm like,
well, the game,
I wouldn't go that far, but I would say that these are the mainstays that you care about. And
if you look at the video game cover, it just shows just the two. It just shows just them, just Joel and Ellie. You know what I mean? Yes, there's other side characters that's in it, and there's other side characters that live. Yeah, you know what I mean. But the focus is just really these two. You only play as these 2 characters. You know what I mean? And it's about their relationship. Him like being put in this situation where like he's been hardened for 20 years, seeing so much death, him even doing some horrible things, and now basically kind of essentially adopting a daughter, essentially. And that's really the game. You know what I mean? The whole thing with Marlene, the whole thing with Tess, all that, they were just side characters. You know, all of them are side characters and whatnot. The game is just these 2. And that's pretty much the whole thing. You know what I mean? So I feel like, and I agree with you, it would be awesome to see a little bit more of Tess. However, I feel like you would have to, not that they can't afford it, but I feel like they would have probably made it like 12 episodes. You know what I mean? They would make it more of that. And I feel like that because you kind of need more and more stuff with Joe and Ellie. We going to need episodes with these guys. Like, not, and I don't mean just 2 or 3. You know what I mean? And it looks like they're going to do more backstory and more flashbacks. So we do more of that, and that's, I don't know. I mean,
no, just great characters. It's just more a compliment. They're great characters, and they want us to care. They want us to be like, this meant something to him, that he had to give up someone he cared about. But now Ellie's it, and he's gonna push forward with that. And I get that. I'm just saying, they could have changed up the story and make Sarah alive, make it loosely based or something. I was like,
make her alive?
Yeah, like she. Yeah,
you don't get the same impact
30,
though.
She would be like 30 something now, or 40 something.
She could have been Marlene.
I mean, as fast as the infection, like sprung up in one day. I mean, this thing could have happened in 2013. They have to wait 20 years to get the story going. It's just I can see your point. I mean, but
Ellie, the whole point of Ellie is that she's born after the events of all this, right. So she doesn't know anything about the way the world was before that. So that would play a big part into if you started it sooner.
If we do that. Also, I thought it was kind of weird that they introduced a scientist who 45 years ago was like, hey, fungus could fuck up the entire world. And no one made any effort to look through this thing and go, you know what? Maybe we should do a little bit of research, just a little bit of something. And then they're like, nah, he's just making this shit up. And then the Indonesia thing, which was cool, like she was just like, bomb us. Like she wasn't like, a scientist talked about this. We've been studying this. And we realized that at this point, we're just fucked. Like just to kind of connect it to that story to be like, this is not.
No, she said, listen to me carefully. I have studied this my entire life. There's only one thing that can be done right now. She's just cutting straight to the point. She's like, I'm not going to tell you why. I'm not going to tell you. I'm not giving you any other reasons or any. You don't need to know that. You just need to know that I'm the one who knows, and I've studied this my whole life. There's only one thing to do now.
Bomb.
Yeah, because she said there's no medicine, there's no vaccine. This is it.
But
and if a scientist who's been studying this shit in her entire life, I think you got to listen. I think,
and that's why Joe. That's why Joe thought, and that's why Joe thought Tess was full of shit when he said, "Oh, she could be the cure," and he's like, "said No, we've been hearing Firefly say that a while about. There is no cure. There is no cure." And then finally, you see this girl, and they're like, "Oh wait, there is a small chance."
It's because her arm was healing.
No, I'm agreeing. No, I'm just saying Joe's perspective. I'm just saying you see the denial in his face too, saying there is no cure, there is no vaccine. You know what I mean? You can't just Advil this away. You know what I mean? It's like straight. It's like, but so yeah.
When we talk about the change in the game and in the show, because in the show, when you're with the clickers, is when he realizes that she's the real deal, is because she's breathing in the spores. And he sees it, but now it's a matter of she got bit again.
The second time,
and nothing is happening. And Tess is saying, "I got bit an hour, and it's worse than her bite from 3 weeks ago and today."
That was smart. That was a smart choice, because I do feel like Joe really didn't need to see that. You know what I mean? Because hell, that bite mark from 3 weeks ago could have been just like her burning her arm on the stove. You know what I mean? She could have just lied or whatever, right? But the fact that he saw, because you're right, in the game, he's putting on his gas mask and she doesn't. She's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, I'm fine. It's not going to affect me." And sure enough, you know what I mean? So I was thinking the same thing when I saw they were getting rid of the gas mask. I'm like, how's she going to prove it? And then sure enough, she's like, "God damn it again." I was like, "Oh, okay, duh." Just have her get bit again. Just have her get bit again.
In the exact same arm. I was like, damn. I mean, I thought she was gonna get bite.
That was very tasty area. I guess.
I guess she's like, I was like, tender. I don't know. I thought that was kind of.
Tastes like chicken. Did she just have a chicken sandwich?
She did. Wait a minute. Did y'all? Her sandwich looked pretty nice, didn't it?
Yeah, it looked pretty. It looked pretty
full and
you know what? She probably the only one that can eat bread too.
Oh,
you know what? I didn't even think about the fact that it was bread.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that they'll do part 2. It's just be like season 4. Naughty Dog has said they're done with the Last of Us. I love to see the show take off where they were forced to make another game or move.
I thought this was gonna have 2 seasons. Isn't it
No.
2?
Man, at least.
He said they can go. They said he can go to Armando's. They can go at least to season 4. I'm saying, but no, season 2 is already.
No, I think 2. I think this should just be 2.
It depends on how far they get by episode 9.
Yeah, you gotta.
I feel like, I don't know the way they're going. I think they're going. It looks like episode 9 will be towards the end of the game, because they are kind of moving really fast already.
Then maybe it is only 1 season then.
But then that's where you get Last of Us 2.
There's another game too. Also,
there's a sequel to the game.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And then I guess that's why I just knew season 2 was going to happen. But then my question was will it is that it? I didn't know how fast we were going to go with the show, at least. But they're going pretty damn fast, it seems like. I'm like, oh, okay, so because we only got 7 more episodes left, so.
So as we discussed with the first video, if they stick to the source material and they're doing a game, right? So that's only like 2 seasons. If they I think what we're saying, as Kim was saying, what you're saying is what you don't want to do is this is so popular, we'll just make up for season 3.
Yeah, don't do that.
No.
Yeah.
HBO doesn't really do that. Even a lot of shows, they just, because sometimes they just end it. Watchmen, they just ended it. There's a lot of shows
and Watchmen was good. That was a good one.
If this was Stars, you're right. You know what I mean? But I know I can't help it. I gotta keep bringing them up. I know.
HBO shitted on themselves with Game of Thrones. Let's not do this. All right, they had a good show based on good source material, and then they the shit. All right, and they spend a lot of money.
Okay,
a lot of money, and they
Yes.
they completely shitting on themselves. So let's not do that.
I feel
Wait, are
like
we
they
talking about the
they
last
would-
at the last episode of Game
Last
of Thrones?
2-3
la-
seasons,
last season
I mean, it was
at
just
least,
bad. It was just,
Yeah.
but they're like people still watching though, right? So let's just see what these dragons can
But
take.
they're not. But unlike M. Night Shyamalan, they actually learn from their mistake. You know what I mean? They're like, they're like just like, okay, I realized the village sucked, but like, you know what I mean? But nah, I think they're good now.
So let's not act like they can't fall victim to success and be like, you know what? Let's just keep on riding this thing out.
I'm just waiting for Joe. I'm just waiting for someone all of a sudden to come up with a Starbucks coffee and be like, damn, someone's still making Starbucks and the apocalypse.
But it still be legit though. And she got that good bread and that good chicken sandwich.
I know. It was chicken. I was like, wait a minute.
I was like, where'd they get the chicken from?
That joint look fried too. Was that fried?
It looked fried. It looked fried. It had that little orange.
You know what? I can see that though. I saw a little episode of Locked Up, and then like somebody created like a little stew, little thing. Yeah, man. I can see that.
But how does she keep it that fresh?
I think about that doesn't make sense. She's been locked up in that room for like a week or some shit. Like I was like, this.
No, Marlene gave it to. Remember, Marlene's the one that gave.
How
it that
Marlene getting those kind of fucking like material?
Well,
like,
she's a firefly. They scavenge.
Yeah, they get rations and stuff. Yeah,
where's it coming from? Like that like I said, that's fresh bread. That's like fresh chicken. Like Walking Dead never got that level, bro. Never got that fresh level.
No, I'm waiting for them to get eggs, and then they'll be like, "Yo, there's an egg tax here. Like everything's expensive as hell. Like you want some eggs? That's gonna cost you at least all of your rations just for 2 eggs."
With all that monopoly money. Why can't no one's ever actually this post-apocalyptic shows never just pulled out monopoly money and be like, okay, this is our real currency now. They always make up some bullshit currency. Like everybody knows monopoly money.
Where are the animals? Where are the dogs and cats?
You saw the ducks. There was a duck. There was a frog.
I saw that's it. But where's everybody?
No, you will see. I mean, yeah, I can almost guarantee you. At least you would definitely see the dogs because the dogs was kind of a big part of The Last of Us or whatnot, and maybe some zoo animals. And I'm gonna leave it at that.
Okay.
Jamani even knows what I'm talking about.
I think you'll see more stuff now that they're outside and like they're actually on the journey now. So you'll start seeing more outdoorsy stuff. Not like they were inside a lot this episode and stuff. Like not to say that they won't be coming inside to certain places, but they'll mostly be outdoor scenes.
I love as we wrap up because we gotta get to our next one. I did love the special effects as you said with the city. The city looked amazing. I couldn't tell what was fake.
It really did, and I know that's a green screen because I saw it on something. I can't remember, but they showed Joel and Ellie with the you know how they have the cameras on them. They have the little the jumpsuits on. So that's a lot of that is green screen. That's amazing though. It's amazing.
That's Westworld level money. Westworld look real as fuck, man.
Well, I figured out why Westworld. I actually know why they stopped. A lot of why they're pulling stuff off of the app.
Warner Brothers.
This is something I didn't know. Do you know? Well, like when you have your show on an app, the people get paid royalties when people watch your videos or watch the show or whatever, they get money. Like HBO Max has to pay people to watch the show.
Yeah, it's not their content.
Yeah, so that's why they're ripping that content off because if it's not on a platform, they don't have to pay them. Do you see what I'm saying? So that's why they're ripping all these. So I didn't know that. I was like, why are you ripping the good shows off?
Well, also they merged with Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers is taking their shit back. I mean, these are separate things. Like you're right about that because that's made by a separate company, like the Nolan Brother company. But there's a lot of other content, like the DC shit and all that. Like Warner Brothers is taking their stuff back, so they're also dealing with that issue. So a lot of HBO Max is probably going back to be an HBO soon.
So Peacemaker season 2 will be on Warner Brothers now.
Yeah, apparently. Fuck that shit. But I was like, they canceled a Doom Patrol. I like Doom Patrol.
I did too.
Titan was shit, but Doom Patrol was good.
Titan's got better.
I see him doing a season a game, and maybe some spinoffs. Like Chris started with Among Us, The First of Us, etc. I like that.
I feel like if you want to do this show justice, just do the 2 games. Like do this one and then do the second one and just let it go. I heard that they're coming out with a third one. That it is. Huh?
Oh,
I
a
heard they're
third
coming
game.
a third game. I thought that would be like the final game. I don't know if they're gonna try to stretch that game out into 2 seasons or something like that, but
Oh.
I don't know.
Hold
But
on.
I think that there is another game in the works, I believe,
Yeah.
like the last game.
I thought they weren't making anymore. Okay.
Guys,
well-
I gotta hit on out, y'all. So
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna
Bye,
see y'all.
Chris.
All
Later,
right,
Chris.
see you guys.
Bye.
And actually, that's that we will say goodbye to everyone. Actually, we're gonna be up out of here.
Hello?
Hello?
I can't hear David. Can you hear David?
No, I cannot.
We can't hear you.
Hello,
There
Yeah,
you
we hear
go.
you now.
am I fine now?
I thought it was me. I was like, wait a minute. And then
Oh,
Giovanni
my
was
internet,
like, no.
my internet
I hear
cut off.
David. I was-
Am I better now? Am I better now?
Yes. We
Okay,
hear you.
okay. So yeah, we're out here. Kim and I got to get to all the Queen's men, so we got to pick up Stacy, Jemani. I'll see you tomorrow for the 3 reviews we're doing tomorrow. We're doing You People. We're doing Your Honor, and
Ugh.
Godfather of Harlem. So the batches didn't pay apparently. So just a spoiler alert. But we're gonna knock those 2 episodes out and see how life goes.